It was an ordinary morning on Earth when the first sign of the coming storm appeared. The sun rose over the horizon, casting its golden light over cities and towns across the planet. But on this day, the world's leaders gathered in the United Earth Council, an organization formed to represent all of humanity. They had no idea that a message was coming that would change everything. The Galactic Empire had been sending communications to Earth for years. The alien coalition, made up of many powerful species, had always wanted access to Earth's resources, its military strength, and its strategic location in the galaxy. But for reasons that no one could quite explain, Earth had always refused to engage with them. The leaders of the Empire had sent ambassadors, envoys, and diplomats, trying to convince Earth to open up its borders and allow passage for trade routes and military fleets. Every time, the answer had been the same: no. Earth's leaders, however, never imagined that the day would come when the Galactic Empire would make a final push to force humanity's compliance. General Elara Sinclair, a respected leader in the United Earth military, sat at the head of the council, her eyes sharp and focused. She had received word of the Empire's latest request, and she knew that things were about to change. On the screen in front of her, the council chamber filled with representatives from every nation on Earth, each one looking up at the flashing message coming from the stars. It was a simple transmission, but its words were enough to send a shiver down her spine. "We are the Galactic Empire. Earth has been chosen. Grant us passage, and you will prosper. Deny us, and you will face the consequences. We do not ask twice." The message repeated itself, the cold, impersonal voice of the Empire's emissary echoing through the chamber. It was a warning, but it felt more like a threat. For a moment, there was silence in the room. Some representatives looked to each other, uncertain of what to do. Others stared at the screen, trying to make sense of what they had just heard. The tone of the message left no room for negotiation. It was clear that the Empire no longer viewed Earth as a peaceful, neutral planet. They saw Earth as a place to be controlled, a place to be conquered. General Sinclair stood up from her chair, her voice steady and firm as she addressed the council. "We cannot give in to these demands. The Empire believes that they can simply walk into our world and take whatever they want. We cannot let that happen." The room erupted in discussion. Some argued that the Empire's power was too great to oppose, that humanity should seek peace and find a way to cooperate. Others, like General Sinclair, believed that Earth's independence was non-negotiable. To them, the idea of submitting to an alien empire was unthinkable. As the debate raged on, Sinclair's mind raced. She knew that the message was only the beginning. The Galactic Empire was a vast coalition of species, each with its own strengths and technologies. Their fleets were capable of devastating entire planets. The idea of standing against such an overwhelming force seemed impossible, yet Sinclair couldn't shake the feeling that Earth had more to offer than anyone realized. Humanity had always found a way to survive, to fight back when the odds seemed insurmountable. After hours of heated discussion, the council finally voted. Earth's leaders made a unanimous decision. They would not give in. The Empire would not be granted passage. Earth would remain closed to the Galactic Empire. It was a bold move, one that would surely have consequences, but the council believed that standing firm was the only way forward. The decision was final. But even as the vote was called, a sense of unease filled the room. Everyone knew that the Empire would not take kindly to this refusal. There would be repercussions. General Sinclair stood tall, her expression resolute. "We've made our choice. Now we must prepare for whatever comes next." The news spread across the planet within hours. People were shocked, but they were also proud. Earth had stood up to the might of the Galactic Empire, and humanity had shown that it would not be easily swayed. There were fears, of course, but there was also hope. This was not the first time Earth had been threatened, and it would not be the last. As the council disbanded and the news outlets began to report on the decision, Sinclair took one last look at the stars. The galaxy was a vast and mysterious place, filled with unknown dangers and wonders. But Earth had always been its own master, and that was something that humanity would never give up. For now, Earth had drawn a line in the sand, and it was a line that no one would cross without a fight. The decision had been made. Earth had refused the Galactic Empire's demand for passage, and now the entire world waited to see what would happen next. News channels, social media, and every form of communication buzzed with reports of the Empire's reaction. The general feeling across the planet was one of nervous anticipation. While some were confident in Earth's ability to defend itself, others feared what might come. In space, above Earth, the silence was shattered by the sudden appearance of a fleet. It was massive. Hundreds of ships, each one larger and more powerful than anything Earth had ever seen, glided into orbit. The fleet hung in space like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. The ships shimmered with alien technology, and their sheer size dwarfed Earth's modest defenses. The Galactic Empire had arrived, and their message was clear. Earth had been warned. General Elara Sinclair stood at the command center, staring at the display screen. Her brow furrowed as she watched the fleet take its position above Earth. The ships were not here to negotiate. They were here to force compliance. The Council had made their decision, but now Earth would have to face the consequences. Sinclair knew that Earth's defenses were no match for the Empire's advanced weaponry, but she also knew that humanity had something the Empire didn't: determination. "Prepare the fleet," she ordered, her voice calm but firm. The United Earth military had been on high alert since the vote to deny the Empire's request. The advanced weaponry they had developed in secret over the years was humanity's only hope now. It wasn't much compared to the Empire's overwhelming force, but it was enough to buy time. At that moment, an incoming transmission appeared on the screen. The voice was cold, mechanical, and unmistakably alien. "This is the Galactic Empire. You have chosen to defy us. You will pay the price. Prepare for your submission." The message repeated itself, each word hanging in the air like a heavy weight. The message was not one of peace or understanding. It was a threat, and the Empire's intent was clear. They were here to force humanity into submission. "Deploy the mass disruption field," Sinclair commanded. She turned to the tech officer beside her. "Activate the defense grid. We may not win this fight, but we can make sure they know they cannot walk over us." The officer nodded and quickly began typing commands into the console. Across Earth's military installations, the order was passed and the defense systems activated. The mass disruption field, a weapon that had been in development for years, hummed to life. Its purpose was simple: to disable the Empire's advanced technology. It wouldn't destroy the alien ships, but it would render their weapons and shields useless. It was humanity's only chance to stand its ground. The first wave of the Empire's fleet moved toward Earth. The ships were sleek, black, and intimidating, their designs far more advanced than anything Earth had ever built. But as the fleet approached, the disruption field activated, and everything changed. The Empire's ships began to malfunction. Their weapon systems shut down, and their shields flickered and failed. For the first time in decades, the Empire was not in control. The humans had struck back. The Empire's response was immediate. Ships fired warning shots, but without their powerful weapons, the blasts were weak and ineffective. Earth's military retaliated with what they had: missiles and laser cannons. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make the Empire's ships think twice. The human fighters swarmed the battlefield, each pilot determined to hold their ground. General Sinclair watched from the command center, her eyes glued to the screens, her heart racing. "This is only the beginning," she muttered to herself. The battle above Earth was fierce, but it was only a first step. The Empire would regroup, and when they did, they would come back stronger. The humans had given them a taste of what they could do, but Sinclair knew that they would need to prepare for the war to come. Down on Earth, people watched in awe as the conflict unfolded in the skies above them. News anchors tried to make sense of the situation, But the truth was that no one knew what was going to happen next. Would humanity survive this, or would the Empire crush them under its heel? Despite the uncertainty, the people of Earth held their breath as the battle continued. They had never faced such a powerful enemy before, but something inside them stirred. The fight was not over yet, and Earth would not surrender. General Sinclair's voice echoed in the hearts of the people. "We will not back down. We will not submit. Earth will stand, no matter what." In space, the Empire's fleet began to retreat, their ships pulling back from Earth's orbit. The disruption field had worked. Earth had held its ground, just for now. The battle was far from over, but the message had been sent. Earth had defied the Galactic Empire, and humanity had shown that it would not be easily intimidated. Sinclair stood at the command center, her face grim but resolute. "Prepare for the next wave," she said quietly. "We've only just begun." The fight for Earth had only begun, and this time, humanity would make sure the Empire would never forget the cost of underestimating them. The battle above Earth had ended, but the victory felt hollow. The Galactic Empire had retreated, but they would not give up so easily. General Elara Sinclair knew this better than anyone. Earth's defenses had held, but she could sense the Empire's resolve to return even stronger. There was no time to waste. If humanity was to survive this war, it needed to be ready for what was to come. Days passed as Earth's military forces scrambled to rebuild and prepare for the next inevitable attack. Sinclair, however, was not content with just waiting for the Empire to strike again. She knew that humanity's strength didn't lie solely in its weapons. There had to be something more, something hidden within Earth's history that could give them an edge in the fight for survival. Sinclair turned to a secret project, one that had been in the works for years, long before the Empire had ever set its sights on Earth. It was a top-secret facility, buried deep beneath the surface of the planet, known only to a select few. The project's goal was to uncover humanity's ancient past, to learn about the lost civilizations that had once thrived on Earth. But what Sinclair didn't know was that this project might hold the key to Earth's future. The facility, located in a remote part of the world, had been hidden from public view, its existence known only to a small group of scientists, archaeologists, and military leaders. The location was so secret that even most of Earth's leaders had no idea it existed. Sinclair had visited the site only once before, and she had always felt there was more to the story than she had been told. Now, with the Empire knocking at their door, she knew it was time to dig deeper. As she entered the facility, Sinclair was greeted by Dr. Maya Torres, the lead archaeologist who had been studying the site for years. Dr. Torres led her down a series of narrow corridors, each one filled with strange symbols and alien artifacts that seemed to whisper of a time long past. "This is it," Dr. Torres said, stopping in front of a large vault door. "The chamber we discovered last year. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before." Sinclair nodded, her curiosity piqued. She had seen alien artifacts before. Humanity had been studying them for decades. But this was different. There was an energy in the room, a sense that something extraordinary was hidden here. With a series of commands, Dr. Torres unlocked the vault and opened the door. Inside, the walls were covered in ancient inscriptions, symbols that no human had ever seen before. At the center of the room was a large stone tablet, its surface covered in intricate carvings. The tablet seemed to glow with a faint, otherworldly light, as if it held some kind of power. "This is what we've been searching for," Dr. Torres said, her voice filled with awe. "It's not just a relic. This tablet, it holds the secrets of an ancient civilization, one that predates any known history on Earth." Sinclair stepped forward, her eyes scanning the carvings. The symbols were unfamiliar, but they seemed to resonate with something deep inside her. It was as if they were speaking to her, calling her to understand. She reached out and placed her hand on the tablet. The moment she did, a surge of energy coursed through her, and the room seemed to come alive with light. In that moment, Sinclair understood. The ancient civilization that had once inhabited Earth was far more advanced than anything humanity had ever imagined. They had mastered technologies that surpassed even the most powerful tools the Empire had. And somehow, hidden within Earth's history, was the key to unlocking that power. The Empire. They don't know what they're up against, Sinclair whispered. We have the knowledge. We have the technology. We just have to learn how to use it. Dr. Torres looked at Sinclair, her face filled with excitement. What do you mean? Sinclair smiled, her eyes filled with determination. I mean, we're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting for something greater. We're fighting for the future of Earth. And we're not going to let the Empire walk all over us. Over the next few weeks, Sinclair and Dr. Torres worked together to decipher the tablet symbols. It was slow work, but the more they uncovered, the more they realized how much humanity had forgotten. The tablet was a map, a guide to the lost technologies of Earth's ancient past. It contained blueprints for weapons, defenses, and tools that could rival anything the Empire had in their arsenal. But the most important discovery was something far more profound. The tablet revealed that Earth's ancestors had once been part of a galactic federation, a group of planets that had once thrived together in peace. But something had happened. Something had caused Earth to be cut off from the rest of the galaxy, its history lost to time. Now, as the Empire closed in, humanity had a chance to reclaim that lost legacy. Earth's ancient power, its hidden strength, was about to be awakened. But would it be enough to stop the Empire? Only time would tell. Earth had barely begun to recover from the first battle with the Galactic Empire. General Elara Sinclair and her team worked tirelessly, studying the ancient tablet and refining humanity's newfound technologies. The hopes of the planet rested on their ability to unlock these forgotten secrets. But even as they labored, they knew that the Empire would not give up so easily. The alien coalition would return, and this time, they would not be caught off guard. It didn't take long for the Empire to make its move. The peaceful days after the retreat had been nothing but a brief respite. A new transmission arrived, this time much more urgent and menacing. The message was short but made its intent clear. We have learned from our mistakes. Earth will comply or face complete destruction. You will not be given a second chance. The Empire's voice was chilling, its promise of retaliation unmistakable. This time, there would be no negotiations. There would be no room for compromise. Earth would either submit to the Empire's will, or it would pay the price. General Sinclair gathered Earth's military leaders in the command center. The mood in the room was tense, and the weight of the decision ahead was heavy. They all knew what was at stake. We are not ready, Sinclair said, her voice steady but filled with concern. The technology we've uncovered gives us hope, but we need time to fully understand it. We can't fight an enemy this powerful without knowing what we're up against. We don't have time, one of the council members responded. The Empire will strike soon, and if we aren't prepared, we'll be destroyed before we can even defend ourselves. Sinclair looked out of the window at the stars, her mind racing. She knew the Empire was ruthless. If they didn't act quickly, Earth could be destroyed before it ever had a chance to truly fight back. The knowledge from the ancient tablet had given them a glimpse of hope, but it wasn't enough to guarantee victory. Then an idea struck her. We need to turn the tables. If we can't match their strength directly, then we need to outsmart them. We know the Empire's tactics. We need to use that knowledge to our advantage. The room went silent as the leaders considered her words. Sinclair's plan was risky, but it was their only option. The Empire relied on overwhelming force, and Earth's best chance was to use deception and strategy to confuse and weaken the Empire before their next attack. In the days that followed, Earth's military leaders began to put Sinclair's plan into motion. They would create false targets, hiding their most important assets and spreading misinformation across the galaxy. The hope was that the Empire's fleet would be drawn into a trap, one where Earth's forces could strike when and where they least expected it. Meanwhile, General Sinclair led a covert operation to install the new technology into Earth's defense systems. The ancient knowledge they had uncovered was slowly being integrated into Earth's weapons, creating new tools that could potentially change the course of the war. But there was still one major challenge. The Empire's fleet was far more advanced, and the danger of underestimating their retaliation was real. As Earth's preparations continued, the Empire moved into position, assembling an even larger and more formidable force. The alien fleet was bigger than before, its weapons and technology more refined. The Empire had learned from its previous mistakes, and it was determined to crush Earth's resistance once and for all. The first wave of the Empire's fleet arrived in Earth's orbit, and the battle began. But this time, Earth wasn't simply defending itself. Thanks to their deceptive tactics, the Empire found itself in a series of traps. The false targets were hit with coordinated attacks, drawing the Empire's ships into narrow sectors where Earth's new weapons could be used effectively. Explosions filled the air, and in the chaos, the Empire's fleet began to lose its grip on the situation. For a brief moment, it seemed like the battle might be turning in Earth's favor. The Empire's ships were disoriented, and Earth's forces struck quickly and decisively. Yet, despite their initial success, the tide of battle shifted. The Empire's commanders were not easily fooled. They quickly adapted to the new tactics and began to retaliate with more calculated strikes. General Sinclair watched the unfolding chaos from her command center. The Empire's fleet was large, but their disorganization gave Earth an opening. The key to their success, Sinclair realized, was the ancient technology they had unlocked. It was still in its early stages, but it had given Earth's fighters the edge they needed to outmaneuver the Empire's more powerful ships. "Keep pushing," Sinclair ordered, her voice sharp. "We may not win this battle, but we can make them pay for every inch they take." For hours, the battle raged on. The Empire's fleet pushed forward, but Earth's fighters held their ground, using every advantage they could. The Empire's ships were forced to retreat once more, but the cost was high. Many of Earth's vessels had been damaged, and the damage to both sides was significant. The Empire had suffered a setback, but it was clear that they would return with even more force. General Sinclair knew that the war was far from over. The Empire was relentless, and they would not rest until Earth had been brought to its knees. But Earth had already proven something important. Humanity would never give up. They would fight for their freedom, no matter the cost. After the most recent battle, Earth's military forces took a deep breath. The Galactic Empire had retreated, but their hold on the situation was growing tighter. General Elara Sinclair knew that Earth's success had been hard-won, but it had only delayed the inevitable. The Empire's fleet would return with greater force, and Earth had little time to prepare for what was to come. The days following the battle were filled with a sense of urgency. The military's new technologies, thanks to the ancient tablet's secrets, had given Earth a temporary edge. But now, Earth's forces had to find a way to solidify this advantage before the Empire regrouped. Sinclair gathered her best officers in the war room, each one looking as exhausted as she felt, but there was no time for rest. "We've made some progress," Sinclair said, looking over the holographic displays. "But we need more time to fully integrate these new technologies into our defense systems. We can't afford another attack until we're ready." A lieutenant spoke up, his voice strained. "General, we've received another message from the Empire. They're preparing a massive fleet. They've learned from their previous mistakes. We've only bought ourselves a few days at best." The room fell silent. Sinclair's thoughts raced. The Empire was not just coming to crush them. They were coming to destroy Earth completely. And yet there was a flicker of hope in Sinclair's mind. The ancient knowledge they had uncovered hinted at something greater. Earth's ancestors had once been a part of a vast galactic community, and if they could unlock more of that lost knowledge, perhaps they could turn the tide. She turned to Dr. Maya Torres, the archaeologist who had helped decipher the tablet. "How much more can we learn from the tablet?" she asked, her tone urgent. Dr. Torres didn't hesitate. We've uncovered blueprints for energy shields, weapons that can disrupt enemy ships, and even advanced propulsion systems. But there's still more. The ancient civilization was on the brink of something extraordinary. If we can crack the final piece, it could change everything. Sinclair nodded, her determination building. Then we don't have time to waste. We need everything we can get from that tablet. Now, the team worked around the clock, poring over the remaining fragments of the ancient civilization's knowledge. They deciphered codes, worked with alien artifacts, and tested their newfound technologies. They even began to build prototype weapons based on the designs from the tablet. But every new discovery came with its own challenges. Some systems worked, others failed. Some of the energy weapons were too powerful to be controlled safely, while others were simply too advanced for humanity to understand fully. Despite the setbacks, Sinclair remained focused. "Keep at it," she told her team. "We will not stop until we have every advantage possible." Meanwhile, across the world, Earth's people were beginning to prepare for the worst. Some cities went on high alert, with military units stationed in every major population center. Many civilians volunteered to help in whatever way they could, whether it was gathering supplies or assisting with the construction of defense systems. The fear was real, but so was the courage. Humanity had faced challenges before, and they would face this one together. Days turned into weeks, and Earth's military continued to improve its defenses. But no matter how hard they tried, it was clear that the Galactic Empire was growing stronger by the day. They had repaired their ships, reinforced their fleet, and learned from their earlier mistakes. Soon, they would return, and this time, Earth would be ready, but just barely. One night, as Sinclair looked up at the stars from her command center, a message came through. It was a transmission from the Empire, but this time, it wasn't just a warning. It was an ultimatum. "We have given you a chance to submit. You have refused. Earth will now face the consequences of your defiance. Surrender, or your planet will be obliterated." Sinclair clenched her fists. The Empire had already attacked once, but this time it was no longer about simply winning a battle. This was about Earth's survival. She knew that if they didn't act now, they might never get another chance. She turned to her officers. "Prepare our forces. It's time to end this." But even as they made their final preparations, a shadow loomed over the Earth. The Empire's fleet had begun its approach, faster and more aggressive than ever before. They were determined to finish what they had started. Sinclair's heart pounded as she watched the fleet appear on the horizon. The sky seemed to darken, and the ground beneath them seemed to tremble with the weight of what was to come. Earth's military forces stood ready, their new weapons and technologies primed for action. But the question lingered in the back of their minds. Would it be enough? As the Empire's ships entered Earth's atmosphere, the final battle was set to begin. The fate of humanity rested on the shoulders of those who stood ready to defend it. Earth would either rise to meet the challenge, or fall beneath the weight of the Empire's might. General Sinclair took a deep breath and issued the order. For Earth, no surrender. The battle for the future of humanity had arrived. The day had arrived. The Galactic Empire's fleet was larger than ever, filling the sky above Earth like a dark storm. Their ships were massive, with weapons capable of erasing entire cities in a single strike. Yet General Elara Sinclair stood firm, her heart steady as she gazed at the incoming threat. This was no longer a battle for survival. It was a battle for the future of humanity. "All forces, prepare for engagement." Sinclair's voice rang out, clear and commanding over the communication system. "Today, we fight for Earth. Today, we show the Empire that we will not bend to their will." As the Empire's fleet approached, the atmosphere around Earth crackled with tension. The air was thick with anticipation as military units readied their weapons. The ancient technologies they had uncovered were now integrated into Earth's defense systems. Energy shields were activated, and prototype weapons hummed with power, waiting for their moment to strike. Sinclair watched as her command center filled with activity. Her officers worked quickly, monitoring incoming signals, coordinating the movements of Earth's forces and ensuring the city shields were operational. The planet's fate rested in their hands. "General," one of her officers said, pointing to a holographic map of Earth's orbit, "the Empire is deploying waves of ships. They'll break through our outer defenses in under an hour if we don't stop them." Sinclair's mind raced. She knew Earth's forces were outnumbered, and the Empire's ships were far more advanced. But Earth had something the Empire didn't, a determination and unity that no army in the galaxy could match. "Activate the new weapons," Sinclair ordered. "We'll meet them head-on." The first wave of Empire ships entered Earth's atmosphere. The battle began with the thundering sound of weapons fire. Earth's fighters launched into the sky, their ships equipped with energy disruptors and newly developed shields. The Empire retaliated with a barrage of laser blasts that lit up the sky. The fight was fierce. Earth's forces held their ground as best they could, but the Empire's firepower was overwhelming. Each blow they struck left craters in the ground, and explosions rocked the cities below. But Earth's fighters were relentless. They weaved through the Empire's ships, targeting weak points in their armor, using the ancient blueprints to find ways to fight back. The battle raged on for hours. Earth's forces took heavy losses, but they refused to give up. For every ship they lost, they managed to take down one of the Empires. Each victory was small, but it was a victory nonetheless. Sinclair stood at the heart of the command center, watching the chaos unfold on the screens. She had never imagined she would be in the middle of such a conflict, yet here she was fighting for her planet, for the future of humankind. "General, we've got a problem," another officer called out. "The Empire has deployed their flagship. It's larger than anything we've seen before." The screen displayed the enormous ship, a floating fortress that dwarfed even the largest of the Empire's vessels. Its weapons were powerful enough to wipe out entire fleets, and it was heading straight toward Earth. Sinclair's heart sank. The flagship was their ultimate weapon, and it could destroy the planet in a matter of hours if left unchecked. She had no choice. They would have to face it head-on. "Prepare the fleet for a direct assault," she ordered. "We're taking down that flagship, no matter what." Sinclair's orders were followed with precision. Earth's remaining ships rallied together, gathering for a final push against the Empire's flagship. The goal was simple: disable its weapon systems long enough for the ground forces to deliver a crippling blow. But it would be a suicide mission. The fighters charged toward the flagship, their weapons blazing as they dodged the enemy's relentless fire. They were outgunned, outnumbered, and outmatched. But they had something that the Empire's fleet didn't: unity and resolve. Sinclair's heart pounded as she watched her fighters press forward, knowing that some would never return. But they were fighting for something bigger than themselves. They were fighting for Earth, for the people they loved, for the future of humanity. The fighters flew in formation, aiming their disruptors at the flagship's weak points. With each shot, they tore into the ship's hull, slowing it down. But the Empire's defenses were fierce, and their flagship retaliated with a barrage of laser fire that ripped through Earth's ships. Sinclair's mind raced as she watched the battle unfold. She knew they were running out of time. The Empire's forces were relentless, and their flagship was a near-impenetrable fortress. But she also knew that Earth had one last trick up its sleeve. The ancient technology they had unlocked was still in its early stages, but they had a chance to use it in a way the Empire would never expect. Sinclair turned to her chief engineer. "Activate the experimental weapon," she said, her voice steady. The engineer nodded, and moments later, the command was given. A massive energy pulse shot into the sky from one of Earth's secret facilities. The beam struck the Empire's flagship with devastating force, creating a shockwave that reverberated throughout space. The flagship staggered, its weapon systems failing. The Empire's flagship was vulnerable. Earth's forces seized the opportunity, launching one final wave of attacks that crippled the ship beyond repair. As the flagship exploded in a brilliant burst of light, the remaining Empire fleet hesitated, their morale shattered by the loss of their command ship. The battle was far from over, but the tide had turned. Earth had won a major victory. But Sinclair knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would return, stronger and more determined than ever. Earth had only just begun its fight for survival. The dust from the battle settled, but the fight was far from over. The destruction of the Empire's flagship was a huge blow to their forces, but General Elara Sinclair knew that this victory would not stop the Empire from returning. The Empire's resolve was stronger than ever, and now they would see humanity for what it truly was, an unbreakable force of will. Earth's cities were scared from the battle, and the skies were filled with the remnants of the broken ships. Yet, amidst the chaos, a new hope was beginning to take shape. The ancient technology that Earth scientists had uncovered was beginning to make a real difference. The blueprints for energy shields, weapon systems, and even faster-than-light travel were being brought online. They had only scratched the surface, but it was enough to give Earth's people a fighting chance. Sinclair stood in the war room, staring at the holographic display that showed the Empire's retreating forces. For now, they had won, but the war was far from finished. The Empire would come again, and Earth needed to be ready. "We've dealt a significant blow to them," one of her officers said, "but the Empire isn't finished. They'll rebuild. They'll come back stronger." Sinclair nodded grimly. "I know, but we've shown them that we're not afraid. We've proven that Earth won't bow to their will." She paused, looking at the faces of her officers. "Now we prepare for what's next. We don't just want to survive. We want to win. We want to take the fight to them, and we will." As Earth's forces continued to rebuild, Sinclair received word that the Empire's leadership had begun to reorganize. The Emperor, furious at the loss of their flagship, was planning a massive counteroffensive. This time, they would not underestimate Earth's strength. But Earth had something they didn't: unity. Humanity was working together as never before. People from every corner of the planet had put aside their differences to focus on the greater good. Scientists, engineers, military leaders, and civilians all worked in harmony to strengthen Earth's defenses. The military, now fully equipped with the advanced technology they had discovered, was ready to face whatever the Empire had in store. Weeks passed, and Earth's forces continued to grow stronger. But with every passing day, the threat from the Empire loomed closer. The Empire had regrouped and was now on its way to Earth for a final confrontation. On the eve of the final battle, General Sinclair addressed Earth's military forces. The room was filled with soldiers, pilots, and commanders, men and women who had volunteered to protect their planet, no matter the cost. "We've come far," Sinclair began, her voice steady but filled with determination. "We fought against a force that far outmatches us in size, power, and technology. But we've proven that we can stand our ground. We've proven that humanity is not to be underestimated." The room fell silent as Sinclair continued. "Tomorrow, we face the Empire once more. This time, we fight not just to protect Earth, but to show the galaxy that humanity will not be subjugated. We will fight with everything we have, and we will win." The soldiers stood, their hearts filled with purpose. This was more than a battle. It was a fight for their way of life, for their future, and for the legacy they would leave behind. As the first ships from the Empire entered Earth's orbit, the ground forces readied their weapons. The air was thick with tension, but also with hope. The battle would be fierce, but Earth had something the Empire didn't: humanity's spirit. The first wave of the Empire's ships launched their attacks, raining down energy blasts and missiles. Earth's defenses stood firm, the newly upgraded shields absorbing much of the impact. Earth's fighters responded quickly, launching counterattacks with precision. The Empire's fleet was large, but it was now facing a force it had never truly understood: the will of a people who had everything to lose. The battle continued for hours, with both sides taking heavy losses. Earth's fighters swooped and dove through the Empire's defenses, targeting weak points in the massive ships. The air crackled with energy as weapons fire filled the sky. At the heart of the battle, Sinclair remained calm. She watched as Earth's forces struck with unmatched precision, using every advantage they had gained from the ancient technology. It was working. The Empire's ships were faltering, their command structure falling into chaos. Then, the Empire's final wave of ships arrived, larger, more powerful than anything Earth had faced before. The time for victory had come. Sinclair's voice rang out over the comm system. Prepare for the final push. We end this today. Earth's forces surged forward, their ships moving with a newfound confidence. The final battle was upon them. The Empire's flagship, much like the one they had destroyed before, now loomed before them. But Earth's weapons were stronger. The ancient technology had given them an edge, and it was time to use it. With a final decisive strike, Earth's forces destroyed the Empire's flagship, sending shockwaves through their fleet. The remaining Empire ships hesitated, their commanders scrambling to regroup. But it was too late. The Empire's forces began to retreat, their morale shattered. Earth had done the impossible. They had stood against the might of the Galactic Empire and emerged victorious. As Sinclair watched the Empire retreat into the darkness of space, she felt a deep sense of pride. Humanity had proven its strength, not through the size of its army or the power of its weapons, but through its unyielding spirit. Earth had not only defended itself, it had become a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. The battle was over, but the war for Earth's future had just begun. Earth had made its mark on the stars, and no empire, no matter how vast, would ever forget the day humanity fought back.